women do deal with sexual addiction as well as the addictions to men. It's just the men are more addicted to the visuals and women are more addicted to the toys and other things like that. But the sexual fantasy, both things cause, still warps your sense of how you view a loved one or what your expectations in a relationship are. See, the fantasy caused by pornography on both sides causes a false expectation by both sides that they expect their partner to do what the video is doing, what the picture is doing, what the internet download is doing. And when that partner doesn't do what that is, then therefore there a friction starts, and sometimes it breaks up the relationship, breaks up the marriage. The pornography becomes the other woman or the other man, and they end up thinking it's a person that's breaking up the marriage, and it's the pornography that's breaking up the marriage, because the fantasy that pornography causes can be as real as a real person, and that's why it's so devastating. Now, as far as pornography and crime in young people, 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 7 boys will be molested before 18 years old. And this is from people who are addicted to pornography that's out of control. This is why you have to be aware of, when people say when you go home from school, make sure you're going home with someone, never walk by yourself. This is not just saying you're not grown enough to walk home by yourself. This is for your own safety. So you make sure that you let young people know when they're coming home from school, don't walk by yourself, because sometimes the perverted mind thinks that's a person who's looking for action. You might be just mad. I'm going home by myself. I'm walking home, and you're going home, and you're mad, and this perverted person's out there looking for some action, and he sees a young person, man, girl or boy, because remember, the perverted mind doesn't care if it's a girl or boy. He just wants a young person. So therefore, if you're by yourself, that's when you should have either a whistle, a loud scream, some fast running shoes or something, but don't sit there and try to rationalize with this person, because they're coming from a perverted mindset, and talking them down is not going to be an answer. 77% of those who molested boys said they were regular users of hardcore pornography. 87% of those who molested girls said they were regular users of hardcore porn. And like I said before, hardcore porn is not just looking at pictures, you're looking at actual sexual activity on television, internet, or videos. And see, the more graphic of what they're watching, the more the urge to act out what you're looking at becomes, and that's why it's being tied to crime. Now, like I said in another episode, not every person addicted becomes a criminal, but every criminal who's done a sex crime is addicted. So there is a correlation as far as why doesn't everybody turn into a criminal? Because I always say that's where sometimes a praying parent comes into play. You may be out there doing something that's dangerous, but if you got a parent praying for you at home, please be with my son, please be with my daughter, I pray for them, cover them, protect them. Something is really happening in the spirit to protect that young person in danger, compared to somebody that may not have anyone praying for them, and they end up falling into the depths of all the dangers side of pornography addiction. Let's continue on. In a study with some of the sex offenders that were interviewed in prison, 57% admitted that they were directly imitating something they had seen in pornography. See, pornography isn't softcore, which is just mainly pictures, usually is just pictures and seductive poses. But hardcore porn sometimes teaches men that no means yes. Because a lot of times in those videos, the girl is saying no, and then by the time the sex acts happen, she's saying yes, and that's telling young man, oh, wait a minute. I thought when she said no, that meant no, but in this movie, no, it led to sex. Oh, so no doesn't always mean no. And that's why I said, no, girls, if you mean no, don't you dare put a smile on your face when you say no. And like you girls, I know you girls, I always like to imitate the girls when they get mad. You know, when you put those shoulders back and you got their head going sideways, no. You need to let that neck go sideways, put that finger up, because they know the hand comes next, slap. But if you go, no, that's not what you want to say, because a smile, for anybody who's seen any of the movies, who thinks a yes means no, or no means yes, I'm sorry, that's where you want to make sure they understand exactly what you're saying. Now, some of the behavior, parents always say, well, how do I know by behavior if my child is addicted to something? Well, if it's, boys are a little bit easier because if you go into the room and you find like 52 books of Jet magazine between the mattresses, that's a good behavior sign, because usually, why would you have 52 issues of Jet between the mattresses? Why aren't they on the shelf? Because usually if you're addicted to the pictures and you might be masturbating or something like that and don't want people to know about it, then a guilt comes with having that magazine. So therefore, you're paranoid that if anybody sees you with that magazine, they'll think you're doing something. So even though that's not what the parent is thinking, the fact that you're so paranoid about it, you put the magazines between the mattresses hoping they won't see it, and then another magazine, next thing you know, you've got 20, 30 magazines between the mattress, and then your mother, father comes in and they're cleaning the mattress, they open up the mattress and say, what in the world is going on? In reality, they know what's going on if they see that many magazines between the mattress. Now, how do you approach that? Now, when you approach this particular topic, it's really touchy, because you can't go and say, what are you doing in those magazines? Because once you attack with anger, a shield goes up, and you might as well not say another word, because conversation is not about to happen, because what you get back is, why are you in my room? Why are you going through my stuff? Now, yes, the magazines were in there, but that issue doesn't even get to be discussed, because once you start fussing, a defense goes up, and now you're arguing about why were you in the room as opposed to why were the magazines between the mattress. And that's really what you want to know, because that's where the sign of, well, now I know this is the age where you're going through some changes with your body and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that, because I was there. I was that age too, and my body changed, and I remember the sexual arousal. All that stuff is natural, because that's your body's transition. The danger point is when you start thinking about it so much that you keep repeating it intentionally. Because what happens is, every time there's a pleasure center in your brain, when you get aroused, your brain actually releases chemicals like endorphins that is the reason you feel good. Now, if you found out that this feels so good, and sometimes maybe you're depressed or you're sad, and you remember that this activity felt good. So instead of like some people going to alcohol, other person going to marijuana or crack, this person goes to self-stimulation or masturbation. They'll say, well, this feels good too. So whenever I'm feeling down or sad, I'll do this. That's where you're slowly transitioning from a natural desire that your body feels to a intentional repeated act, which you can actually get addicted to your brain's own chemical. Now, once you get addicted in that way, now you're repeating it over and over again, whatever number of times a day, or however, but it's actually changing your mindset, because now sex is meant as a drug of your choice when you're feeling down, when you're depressed. And that's how it can convert from being a natural transition in the body and to an intentional repetition, because it feels good to you. Now, when you try to talk about this to a young person, you can say it like I just said it, because if the person is open to talk about it, they will. Don't force the issue, because just the fact that you even mentioned it, and that if you ever want to talk about it, I'm here. Because just to know that you're there to possibly talk about it when you need to talk about it is something that will make a young person feel even more at ease, because, well, I can go to my mom or dad and talk about this, because this is really bothering me and I need to talk to somebody. And I don't know, the kids, they laugh at me. They think I'm crazy. They think this. And you don't need to be dealing with peer pressure, because peer pressure is going to be warping it by making you, oh, you talking to your mom and dad about that? Oh, you must be crazy. And they don't want you don't want to go through that. So when you talk to somebody who you can trust, or even if it's a big brother, big sister, just talk to somebody who is coming from a sincere point of view that you can talk to about this area.